5 years ago today, I became a criminal on Anzac Day, on purpose. It was Anzac Day 2020, the COVID lockdowns had begun, and someone had organised the first ever formal anti-lockdown protest in Australia, and they invited me to speak. Now, don't get at me about whether or not we should have protested on Anzac Day. I didn't get to pick the day. I was invited to speak, and my choice was to say no or to say yes. But for reasons that will become clear, I believed then and I still believe now that Anzac Day was and is exactly the right day to stand up for our freedoms against the oppression of our own government. So I said yes to the invitation to speak at that very first anti-lockdown protest, and my life has never been the same since. This is the day that didn't just lead me to be prosecuted with criminal charges for years before they gave up, but led to 2 years of madness, which resulted in me becoming an alcoholic, having a near-complete mental breakdown, and only by the grace of God, it has now led me to putting myself back together to become the man that I am today. My name is Topher Field. This is the Topher Project, and whilst I've been a political commentator for 16 years now, since 2009, it was on this day 5 years ago that I did something that changed my life, something that has defined my work ever since and will probably forever be my proudest accomplishment. I took a leading role in the anti-lockdown movement. I became a criminal, and I accepted the role of public enemy number one. I became a good person, committed to breaking bad laws. In the years that followed, I, along with many courageous Victorians, tried to save our city, Melbourne, as it became the most locked down city on earth. We faced police violence, mass arrests, vilification in the media, demonisation by our Premier, and ultimately we faced armoured vehicles and rubber bullet firing squads. But when I stood in that park in Trafalgar on April 25th, 2020, I had no idea just how insane the world was going to become. I want to take you on a journey through those mad years, as seen through the lens of the speeches that I gave over the journey, starting with Anzac Day 2020. Have a listen, and remember that I said all of this before the madness truly began.
Who would have thought that in our own free country we would have to risk fines in order to gather and honour Anzac Day? Anzac Day is a fitting day for us to gather, contrary to the opinions of many people on my live stream right now, who seem to be outraged that we would choose this day. It is actually the best day.
Absolutely.
Not only do we gather in their memory and in their honour, but we now gather in protest against the lockdown which has been forced upon us by our own government. Remember that our Anzacs have fought in many wars in many places, but always against the same enemy. It's true. In every war, they have fought against governments which deny freedom for their own people. That has been our enemy since the beginning. From the Ottoman Empire and Kaiser Wilhelm's Germany in World War I, to the Nazi regime in Imperial Japan in World War II, the communist takeovers of Korea and Vietnam, the dictatorship of Saddam Hussein in Iraq, or the totalitarian Taliban regime in Afghanistan and many other conflicts in between, our diggers have fought and died on almost every continent to protect a precious and fragile idea. The idea that the government is there to serve the people and not to rule them. For all of our imperfections, and we do have many, Australia is still a shining example of what people can achieve when they are comparatively free, when their government serves the people's interests as the people pursue their dreams and ambitions, and people rightly flock from all over the world to be a part of this wonderful country and enjoy the freedoms that our Anzacs fought for. As we look elsewhere in the world and through other times in history, we see many examples of the suffering that is created when people are made to serve the dreams and ambitions of their government. Our Anzacs fought against governments who took control over their people, and yet today we see echoes of history repeating right here at home, as we are bullied and threatened, berated and cajoled into living lives of fear and withdrawing into our homes. Stripped of our incomes and our independence, we're expected to beg the government for a handout to save us from being ruined by the rules they made. It's for your own good, we are told. And I don't doubt that they mean well, but the road to hell is truly paved with good intentions. What we have seen is not only the wholesale destruction of our economy, of lives, of dreams, of futures, but the wholesale trampling of the rights and freedoms that are now our birthright, thanks to our Anzacs. And it's all due to a virus which we now know is not nearly as deadly as we first feared. and there is mounting evidence to say that the lockdowns don't actually achieve what we expect. Here in Victoria, where we are locked down, our ordeal is only just beginning. We're being told that lockdowns may have to continue in some form or other for months or even a year or more, awaiting the development of a vaccine, something that's never been successfully done with any other coronavirus in history. We are destroying our today, and we are betting our tomorrow on a long odds gamble. And in the process, we're allowing our government to become just a little bit more like the governments that our Anzacs have fought against. In Western democracies, the government is supposed to be the servant of the people, not a bully. Yet what we're seeing from Daniel Andrews now is bullying and intimidation, an unprecedented power grab, and all based on epidemiological models which have already been proven to be wrong. This virus will pass, but the massive debt and the unprecedented power grab that we have seen will affect Victorians and Australians for generations. We owe it to our children to stop this in our generation, and to pass to them the same freedoms that our ancestors, and especially our Anzacs, passed to us. So thank you for being here, for enjoying a little exercise in this beautiful park, and for taking a small, but I believe symbolically powerful stand for our freedoms, for our children, for our futures. Thank you, each and every one of you.
That protest was all very civilised compared to what followed. Later that same year, Melbourne was under martial law, the lockdowns were in full force, and the heavy hand of government was destroying my life, along with the lives of millions of others. Protests had become dangerous, and at this next protest that happened to be at the Shrine of Remembrance in Melbourne, we had just watched the previous speaker before me be violently arrested by Victoria Police moments before I got the megaphone. My blood was running hot, and so I unleashed on our petty tyrant, Daniel Andrews.
Down in history as the worst violator of human rights that Victoria has ever seen. 2020 will be remembered as our year of shame. A year when our state resembled a tin pot dictatorship. Our parliament is suspended. We are denied our basic freedoms. And Daniel Andrews and his gang believe that they can get away with murder. We are here at the Shrine of Remembrance for a reason. Daniel Andrews is unworthy to lead a state that is built on the sacrifice of our ancestors. He dishonours their legacy each and every day by denying their descendants the freedoms they fought for. No mistake, this is about human rights. Even the Assistant Commissioner Chief Wiggum, sorry. Acknowledged yesterday that our right to protest is a human right and it exists regardless of what the Chief Health Officer says. But it's a right that we've been denied for months. We've been subject to arrest, violence, intimidation, harassment and bullying at the hands of the Victorian government and their enforcers for exercising what even they now admit is our human right. But Daniel Andrews is taking all our rights. We have the right to free assembly, to free movement, to freedom of religious expression, and we have the right to our own private property, including our jobs and our businesses. All of those rights have been trampled, and that makes Daniel Andrews the worst violator of human rights that this state has ever seen. Daniel Andrews is unfit for office. He is surrounded by the stench of corruption. He's stonewalling the inquiries that seek to find the truth, and he's been caught out lying time and time again, and he's running from the consequences of his own actions. Daniel Andrews must go. Lockdowns must end. Position with broad terms of reference must be established, and charges must be laid. We need to open up the state while the weather is like we've learned nothing new since March. We can protect the lives of the vulnerable and the elderly without destroying the lives of the young. But first, Daniel Andrews must go! Down with Dan! Down with Dan! Down with Dan! Down with Dan! Down with Dan!
Like I said, my blood was hot. We protested regularly for a year. I called it my weekly game of dodge 'em cops. The police were constantly escalating their violence, bringing horses and mounted police, the public order response team, using tactics like kettling to arrest up to 500 of us in a day, kicking down our doors in the night to terrorise us, arrest us, and take us out of the fight. But we did not stop, and in fact, over time and at great cost, our numbers grew, and by mid-2021, our numbers had grown to the point that at one particularly memorable protest for the first time, the police actually couldn't try and stop us.
Melbourne! We love you! Look at us now! I am so proud! You put such a smile on my face, you have no idea how much I love you right now. Nearly 500 days ago, we were told 14 days to stop the spread. That was a lie. We agreed, Victorians, myself included, we did what we were asked to protect the healthcare system. You remember those days? But then something changed. Daniel Andrews decreed that we were going to eradicate this virus at any cost. At your cost. We never agreed to that strategy. And we do not agree now. These lockdowns have cost Daniel Andrews nothing. He is paid $1,200 every single day. While you are locked down, while you can't work, while you go broke because of him. In today's Herald Sun, you will read the stories of 50 different Victorians who are suffering just like you. 50 in the Herald Sun, thousands of us here, millions around Victoria suffering because of him.
Open up your businesses!
All because Daniel Andrews can't listen to the experts. Daniel Andrews is not following the experts. The World Health Organization said that lockdowns are a last resort only for when the hospital system is failing. That's not what's happening here. He is ignoring those experts. Experts from around the world have told us that lockdowns do more harm than good, and we are living that reality every single day. He is ignoring those experts. There is a better way. Protect the vulnerable and set the rest of us free. That is what we have come here to say. We have had enough. We are done paying the price for Premier Daniel Andrews' arrogance. We are here to say the time has come to set us free. 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 Set us free.
There were over 10,000 people there that day. But Premier Daniel Andrews was never going to allow that to stand. He was never going to allow the voice of the people to be heard. So in response, he brought in Victoria police officers from all over the state and prepared a violent crackdown for all of the following protests. That is when things got really crazy. The police aggression went off the scale, and in September of 2021, 18 months after my first protest, after I first spoke out, after half a dozen lockdowns and the enormous suffering, we found ourselves back at the Shrine of Remembrance. This time we were actually taking shelter from Victoria Police with their armoured cars, their stinger grenades, their hyper-violent aggression. Rukshan Fernando, a journalist who was covering the event, pointed his camera at me that day and asked me to explain what was going on amongst all the chaos. Here's what I said on that day in September 2021.
When you've got 1,000 police in front of you and they brought weapons and they've got a history of being very, very aggressive towards protesters, it's hard to feel safe. But I have to say, as things stand right now, there is a standoff. There is no aggression right now, and I hope that everyone on both sides is hoping that it stays that way. I know I certainly am, and we certainly are. We are not looking for trouble. That's not what we came here for. We just need Daniel Andrews to actually start listening, because he's been ignoring us for 18 months. It never had to come to this. We've been protesting on and off for 18 months, and if he'd listened back then, it would never have had to have reached this point. Thing to do here, and it wasn't our desire to come back here, but when they started using the anti-terror squad and driving the Bearcat through the streets of Melbourne, labelling people who are simply political opponents of the government, labelling them as terrorists, well, unfortunately, we were left with very little choice but to appeal to our history, to appeal to our ancestors, to appeal to the freedoms that they fought for, that we inherited, and right now we are letting slip away in our generation, and I won't stand for that, neither will all the people here. We are not here to cause trouble. We are here to take back the freedoms that were earned for us by the people that we built this shrine to remember.
We are here to take back the freedoms that were bought for us by the people that we built that shrine to remember. Later that day, Victoria Police lined up like a firing squad and opened fire on us, at the protesters. They opened fire with rubber bullets, literally shooting non-violent, unarmed protesters in the back. It was on that day, at the Shrine of Remembrance, no less, that Victoria Police truly fulfilled the predictions that I had made 18 months earlier at that peaceful park in Trafalgar. They became just like the governments that our Anzacs fought and died to protect us from. That is a day that will live in infamy, a day that vindicated everything that I had said and done since Anzac Day 2020. But the story didn't end there. It didn't end with the shooting at the shrine. I tell the story in full in my documentary Battleground Melbourne, which you can watch completely for free at battlegroundmelbourne.com. It's won 14 awards around the world. It tells the story of courageous Victorians who stood for freedom during that terrible time. Now, after the shooting at the shrine, we watched in awe over the following days as courageous teachers, nurses, truck drivers, and families all began to stage their own independent protests, and they kept the movement alive despite the continuing threat of police violence. Eventually, their courage, their peaceful protests, shamed Victoria Police into stopping their violence. And with that violence finally behind us, with Victoria Police finally doing what they should have done all along, and simply facilitating our peaceful protests, the size of the protests then exploded. By some reports, we actually reached multiple hundreds of thousands of people. What I know is that on one very memorable day, late in 2021, the crowd was so large that I could not see the end of it in any direction that I looked. And here's what I had to say on that very memorable day.
Melbourne is rising! Victoria is rising! We the people will win this fight because we will never give up. When Daniel Andrews tried to tear us apart, that is what brought us together. It was when he took our jobs and our businesses that we truly began to work together. It was when he locked us down that we began to stand up together. When he sowed division amongst our friends and our families, that is when we found our tribe. Freedom! Freedom! Getting rid of Daniel Andrews is only the beginning. We must wipe away his legacy of hate division and fear. We must heal the wounds and forgive the wrongs and come together like never before. It was not Daniel Andrews that made Melbourne the world's most livable city. It was not our sports stadiums, our laneways or our river. I got to be honest with you, it wasn't even our coffee. That might come as a shock to some of you. It was us. We've done it before and we'll do it again. We are bound together by something that is deeper than blood. We are bound together by love. It is our love of freedom that brought us here. It is your love of freedom that brought you here today for the biggest crowd this city has ever seen. And it is our love of freedom that compels us to stand unbending no matter what the cost. Getting to this moment has been a long road. A journey that has come at a high cost to many, many good people. Daniel Andrews has abused us, threatened us, sent armed agents of the state to some of our homes, and yet here we stand. Daniel Andrews has arrested us, imprisoned some of us, and sent men to shoot at us, and here we stand. Daniel Andrews tried to break us, break our will with the full weight of his twisted so-called laws. But we realized a deeper truth, that good people break bad laws. So here we are, good people. 20 months after this fight began, we're still here, and there's more of us than ever before. We stand in unity, in love, and in freedom. And Daniel Andrews, you have not crushed us. We are rising to crush you. Future generations are watching us. They are reading about this moment in a history book, and they will go to you and they will say, "What did you do?" I am proud to say that I risked everything, and I will accept nothing less than freedom. Freedom for me, freedom for my children, and freedom for us all.
Five years on from the day that I spoke up for the very first time at that very first speech. I still stand by every word I've said. I've faced police threats, arrest, 2.5 years of being criminally prosecuted by our corrupt government before they dropped the charges. Over the journey, I became an alcoholic. I fell into depression. I've had a breakdown. And I've spent the last year putting myself back together. You know, right from the get-go, I was accused of disrespecting Anzac Day. We were accused of desecrating the shrine, of insulting the soldiers who gave their lives for our freedoms. But I look back and I still stand by every word I said over those terrible years. It was Daniel Andrews and his foot soldiers at Victoria Police who insulted our Anzacs by becoming the enemies that our Anzacs fought to protect us from. And by denying from the Anzacs' own descendants the freedoms that the Anzacs fought and bled for. 5 years. How time flies. Like I said, I became an alcoholic and a broken man. I fought those criminal charges. I lost my business and I nearly lost my mind, but by the grace of God, I pulled through and I'm still standing, and I am living proof that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Today, as I record this, it is Anzac Day 2025, and today I honour our Anzacs and the sacrifices they made to buy freedom for their descendants. But I don't honour them merely with flowery words at a dawn ceremony one day of the year. I honour them every day by doing my best every day to protect and preserve here at home the very freedoms that they fought and bled for abroad. That is my mission. That is what the Topher Project is all about. Promoting freedom by helping people to understand the truth and bringing hope at the same time. For me personally, all of this is anchored in my faith in God, my faith in Jesus Christ, a faith which has become much more real to me than ever before through these last few terrible years. Good people break bad laws. And when our governments, the ones who are supposed to be our servants, when they instead become our masters, tyrants, it becomes time for us to put them back in their place, whether they like it or not. Today's the 5th anniversary of the day I became a criminal in the eyes of the state, because today is the 5th anniversary of the day when I finally understood beyond a shadow of a doubt the truth that good people break bad laws. My name's Topher Field. This is the Topher Project, and I am 100% viewer supported. I have no sponsors, no advertisers. I don't think any of them would be brave enough for me. I am not funded by anyone, and I am nobody's shill. If this sounds like your kind of thing, then you can support me by heading over to goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com. You can buy a copy of my first best-selling book, Good People Break Bad Laws. It's all about civil disobedience in the modern age and the role that civil disobedience still plays in modern society. Or you can get my second book, Good Christians Break Bad Laws. This is about the theology of civil disobedience. What about Romans 13? What about 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 13? What about Jesus and the tribute coin? It's all in here. Or you can get a copy of my DVD, my multi-award-winning documentary, Battleground Melbourne, where I tell the story of all of what happened. This isn't my story. I directed this, but this is the story of all Victorians as they fought back against Daniel Andrews and his human rights abuses. Plus, you can support me by getting my t-shirts and my hoodies over here, and there's multiple different designs. Thank you for watching to the end. Thank you for supporting the Topher Project and making it possible for me to keep doing what I do. Please like, comment, subscribe, and as always, stay free.